Hey, Bulls and Bears, it is Thursday, December 15th, 2022, back with another dose of economic reality. Let's talk about the jobs numbers. Let's talk about the stock market today and holiday layoffs. This is not a good season. Normally, you see a lot more hiring during the holidays. And yes, we've seen some of that. But this has been an unusual year for holiday season layoffs since November and now here in December, even a week or two before Christmas. Not a good time for many households, to say the least. Dow Jones plunged today down by 800 points, give or take 10 or 20 points here. We're about 20 minutes to closing as I'm recording this. The big negative news that was out was the November spending. Consumer spending plunged. Retail sales fell 0.6% in November. Now, remember back around Thanksgiving, just after the Thanksgiving holiday, we're asking the question, how can these be record-breaking numbers? When we looked at all these Black Friday stores, they were very empty. And we asked the question, how can these numbers be legitimate? And now it looks like our assumptions were correct because they're looking back now and saying sales actually fell. We knew it didn't add up because why would so many people this year go online to shop versus previous years, right? Online shopping's been available for decades. It's not anything new. If it just came out this year, then you could see, okay, the stores are empty because everybody's shopping online. No holiday shopping. Online has been going on. Online shopping has been going on for decades now. I remember ordering things from Amazon in the early 2000s. And ever since the early 2000s, when the .com boom really took off, most retailers have had websites, right? So online retail didn't just come up here, of course. So we knew the numbers were phony. But here it is. Retail sales fell 0.6% in November. CNBC, other news outlets reporting this here. Even worse than the Dow Jones estimate. The Dow Jones had estimated a 3% drop. So there we go. That goes along with the fact that consumers are going broke. People are draining their checking accounts. More people than we've ever seen before are pulling money out of their 401ks. And it's not going to stop. Why? Because the cost of living is not going to go down overall. Now, the reason for the sell-off, what they're putting out there is because all of the sudden investors today realized that the Fed is tipping the economy into recession. Well, the rate hike was already baked in the cake, and we had 4 rate hikes before the last rate hike just last Wednesday. So you mean to tell me that investors are just now concerned about rising rates? So it doesn't add up. So what they do is they put this out there as the reason because they want there to appear to be a reason for a sell-off. But what it really is, it's investors pushing the longs out of the market and dropping the market. They're making the market. They're moving the markets with their selling. And when they see a lot of people shorting, that's when they'll move the market back up, right? So their goal is to make money and take money of the retail investors. So that's what that is. But why would it be new news that the Fed's going to tip the economy into recession? I think most people should be preparing for that, except for the people that absolutely don't pay any attention whatsoever. I know a lot of those people, actually. U.S. retail sales fall more than expected. Weekly jobless claims decrease. Well, here's what they're doing, if you didn't know already. All these people that are working 2 or more jobs, those are counted as job gains. So they're turning something that's very bad and negative, the fact that the cost of living is so high that people have not enough income to keep up with the cost of living. They have to go out and get a second job, a third job, a gig hustle, a side hustle, which is not a good thing. Most people don't want to work 2 or 3 jobs, right? Most people want to not work at all. But the people that work, they want to work 1 job. They don't want to work 2 jobs. They want to spend more time with leisure. They want to do things they want to do. They want to spend time with their family. They want to travel. Most people don't want to work 1 or multiple jobs. So they're turning that negative thing, the fact that people have to work more than 1 job, they're turning that into a positive. They're saying, look at these job gains. And the job gains are people taking on jobs because they have to take on these jobs because they can't get by otherwise. They can't keep up with the cost of living otherwise. So let me know what you think about that down in comments. To me, that's what it looks like. They're turning a negative into a positive. They're turning all these extra jobs that people have to work to job gains. Absolutely ridiculous. Does it surprise me? No. Should it surprise you? No. I don't think it surprises anyone watching this channel. All the shenanigans that they're going to put out there and give us. All the talking points are going to give us to make us think that everything's fine, everything's normal. We know it's not fine. We know it's not normal. All right, let's talk about what hedge fund manager Bill Ackman said, the Fed won't meet inflation goal without this is what he said, a job-destroying recession. A job-destroying recession. Well, that's what happens in this boom and bust cycle. And I named the channel after the boom and bust cycle that's created by all this manipulation. And it's no different this time. People were worried that there was going to be hyperinflation, and luckily it didn't turn out to be that way. The Fed did raise rates to give a little bit of relief. But if you look at the cost of living, it's still going up. We looked at the CPI number just last week. Cost of living still going up. And Bill Ackman says the obvious, what we talk about here all the time. Jobs are going to be destroyed because when the easy money policies go away, all the jobs that were created from the easy money policies are now going to go away. They're going to vanish. They're going to go bye-bye. Just take a look in the housing market with all the layoffs that we're seeing. Look at the tech sector. As less people are spending money, tech is laying off. Less advertising revenue across the board. Retail jobs, we see those jobs going away. We see Bed Bath & Beyond. Other retailers struggling just to try to keep the door open. In fact, Bed Bath & Beyond, they're closing down, I think, all the locations in my 10-mile radius as far as I can see. Let's get into some other news here real quick. And this is another survey out here. Share of Americans living paycheck to paycheck. Now, we see these surveys come out. This one happens to be out of Lending Club. Now, we've seen these surveys estimate anywhere between 60 to 75%. The number I always quote is 70% of people living paycheck to paycheck. This Lending Club one tends to report a little bit lower than the others. They're saying that it rose to 63%, up from 60% just a month ago. So just a month ago, 60% of people were living paycheck to paycheck. Now, 63%. The layoffs are really starting to show up in these numbers. As of November, 63% of Americans living paycheck to paycheck, according to this report. Even high-income earners under pressure, Lending Club found, of those earning more than six figures or more, 47% living paycheck to paycheck. Wow! So making six figures no longer is the decent lifestyle that we've come to accustom to over the past few years. And that's also up from 43% just a month earlier. We're seeing this big of a jump just from 1 month to the next, from October to November. Wow. So what's it going to be like in a few months, folks? This thing is starting to really, really accelerate. And the savings levels plunged. The 401k is being raided. People running up debt like never before. Wow. So it looks like we're going to be seeing a lot of sparks fly very, very soon. We're already seeing them fly. What am I talking about? We're not going to have to wait to see them fly. We're seeing them fly right now. People are struggling. They're going broke. The question is, how many people are going to be forced to sell their home? And if they do sell their home, where are they going to go? Rent is at record highs right now as well. Well, I take that back. Rents came down a little bit going into the fall and in the winter. Technically, we're not in winter yet. It's going to be, in 5 days? But rents did come down a little bit, but this year is still higher than what it was last year. We're not down year over year yet. So where are people going to go if they sell their home out of necessity, out of desperation, because rents are outrageous? Americans are cash strapped and their everyday spending continues to outpace their income, which is impacting their ability to save and plan, said a new Nair, Lending Club's financial health officer. And also, how much worse would it be if it weren't for all the programs that are helping people right now? Remember, we still have 20 million households not paying their utilities. They're getting a free pass or getting some sort of payment plan. We've got stimulus checks and little debit cards being sent out here in California. We just got one here for almost $1,000. Our household got one here. California is sending out what they're calling inflation relief payments. And all the moratoriums still in place on the rents, the eviction moratoriums. How much worse would it be if it weren't for all these these programs out here to help people? So this is an absolute disaster. We're gonna have to go towards the universal basic income, the UBI. Haven't talked about that in a while. Some cities are implementing that, but I think that's going to be the standard here in the next couple years. It's also going to be a push towards a complete digital currency. And a lot of things are going to be changing, folks. We got a whole new set of rules and operations coming down from the top down, and it's coming from the very top. And that's what it is. I mean, the banks, they are coordinating worldwide, central banks raising interest rates in most countries. And that's where it's going to be, folks. So we have to continue to strap up for this because it may not be an easy get through. And if you're single, if you don't have a lot of overhead, if you don't have a lot of mouths to feed, you may get through this a little bit easier than most. Hopefully, if you have a big family, they're getting to the point where your kids are old enough to help out instead of being so needy. Having a family can also be helpful in this situation. If you have multiple incomes, if you have a couple of teenagers or people in their 20s that are still at home working, that can make it an easier time to get through. You have to share the bills amongst several people. The same reason some people go out and get roommates, and you might have to resort to getting roommates, moving in with the relatives. And I read an article that if it weren't for all the millennials that moved in back in with their parents back home, that the spending would be even less because a lot of the spending is millennials that live at home that don't have a rent to pay, so therefore they do have some money to go out and spend. Interesting, the same millennials that we can't reinitiate the student loan payments because they're too broke, but they're propping up the consumer spending. It would be much worse if it weren't for that type of spending going on right now. So, folks, continue to strap in, strap up, and get ready because 2023 is looking to be a I don't know what to call it. What would you call it? What's 2023 going to be? Would you call it a collapse? Would you call it a further descent into the abyss, the financial abyss? We're going to see a lot of things happen, and we're already seeing them happen now. But I think it's going to become more obvious to the average eye, if you know what I mean, going forward. Not just the financial nerds like myself, but to the average person. People are feeling it. People are seeing it in their wallets and their checking accounts as they're being drained, and the cost of living. Outrageous, folks. Hope everyone's well. Keep stacking. Hear from you down in the comments, hopefully on this one. Bye for now. Big love and peace.